I've got nasty toes. Did you know that Kirby is a child of God? Hey YouTube, welcome back to Russ's Rad Reviews. Today we have an exclusive album from Target. It is Meatloaf's debut album, Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell. I had to check because I'm a little bit slow. We're gonna do the cover, songs, and then longevity of the item, of the longevity of the vinyl. But first things first, we're gonna talk about the history, so let's slide into history. Alright, what's going on, you guys? We are going to talk about the history of Meatloaf's first studio album, Bad Out of Hell, which was released on October 21st, 1977. Now, bear with me, this is quite a bit of history, but it's cool, and Tony, we did this for you, so be in another video. Bad Out of Hell is the debut album by American rock singer Meatloaf, his parents must have hated him, and composer Jim Steinman. The album was developed from the musical Neverland, a futuristic rock twist to Peter Pan, which I feel like would have been a really cool movie, I'm not gonna lie, which was written by Steinman in Why did Google correct that? Which was written by Steinman in 1974. The album was recorded from 1975 into 1976 at various studios, and the album was produced by Todd Rundgren. That name should sound familiar to you people like me who are from the good old days. It was released by Cleveland International / Epic Records in October of 1977. Bad Out of Hell is one of the best-selling albums of all time, having sold over 43 million copies worldwide since its release. It has been certified 14 times platinum, and as of June 2019, it has occupied the UK album charts for 522 weeks straight, over 10 years, the second longest run of a studio album in the country. It was ranked 343 on the list of 500 greatest albums of all time by Rolling Stone. Often compared to Bruce Springsteen's album Born to Run, Steinman says he finds the comparison puzzling musically, although both albums share influences. Ironically, Max Weinberg and Roy Bittan from Springsteen's E Street Band played on the album, which only helped to cement that comparison. The band find themselves spending most of 1975 writing and recording material for the album, and another 2.5 years auditioning the album and being rejected. Almost cracking when CBS executive at the time, Clive Davis rejected the album, expressing that actors don't make records. Album recording began in late 1975 in Bearville Studios after Todd Rundgren found that the supposed deal with RCA did not actually exist. Albert Grossman, who had been Bob Dylan's manager, offered to put the album on his label but needed more capital. Considering that Rundgren had paid for the majority of the album himself, this offer never came to fruition. Steve Van Zandt, another member of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, and Sonnenberg arranged a meeting with Cleveland International Records, and after founder Steve Popovich heard "You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth," which is the second song in the album, he accepted the album for Cleveland. Jim Steinman is also the brainchild behind the album's cover, which was illustrated by Richard Corbin. In 2001, Q Magazine named the cover number 71 on its list of the 100 best record covers of all time, which I can understand that the album cover's sick. And finally, initial response to the album was slow, but eventually picked up with Canadian and UK audiences jumping on board first, followed by the United States. It sells roughly 200,000 copies a year, including 14 million in the US and 1.7 million in Australia, where it is the best-selling album in the country. It even re-entered the ARIA charts in June of 2007 at number 34. So yeah, it's a really cool album. There's a lot of history about it. I went a little bit overboard. We try to keep it within a page for the history. And with that, guys, we're going to conclude the history portion of this album and get on into the review. So we'll see you there. Don't conclude that wink. All right, so now that the history is over, let's talk about the artwork of this album. Now, before we begin, all of my albums are a little bit shiny because I have them in 3mm protective sleeves. So don't expect that when it comes with the artwork because you're not going to get it. Sorry. But there's the cover. It's cute. It's such an iconic cover. There's a hair on it, which is kind of disgusting. But it's just a long-haired, kind of looks like a demon or like a gargoyle or something coming out of a graveyard. It's supposed to reference like hell. The whole like aesthetic of the actual cover is super cool. But unfortunately for me, I think the actual artwork kind of falls apart with the back. I think it's just I don't know, I wish that they had tied the theme of the album over to the back a little bit, but this cover is awesome. I love it. If we were just doing artwork for that, because this doesn't really come with a really impressive inner sleeve. It's a lyric sheet, it's a typical lyric sheet, which is kind of cool, but it doesn't really make or break the overall album. This is like the Kiss Destroyer limited edition one that I didn't get because they lost it in the mail. UPS, what the f? It's incredible. Like, look at the swirl on this, and even the orange is just so aesthetically pleasing. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a translucent blood red with black and gray swirls, and it's just so good because it blends so well with this cover. I mean, with the orange and the clouds and the dark red and the black and the purple on the bottom, it's just so good. Like, I don't know who decided to do this as the limited exclusive pressing for this album, but they should get at least a 5 cent an hour raise because it's amazing. This album for artwork, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 because of this. I think the overall package for this presentation is so good. If you can find one of these, which they're not too hard to find because they're in like literally every Target you go to, get it. I'll talk to you like with future Russ in like 3 seconds about the why with the songs, but just because of this, think of how sexy this would look hung up on your wall. I mean, it would guarantee at least one person to come over and visit. Presentation with this is awesome. I love how they included the lyric sheet. I mean, it's white. I don't know why they did the white, but there's no secret messages on the inner lip of the vinyl here. And the Epic label, again, is just epic. I don't know. We're gonna slide on over into the thick scale. So, I mean, this is a pretty thick boy. I'd probably give it like 3.5 or 4 C's. It's got a very nice quality to it. We'll give it a 3.5 because I've handled thicker, but you know, this is a happy medium. All right, so we're gonna conclude up. With that said, now that artwork's taken care of, let's slide on over into songs. There's only 9 songs on this album. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there's only 7 songs on this album, but Paradise by the Dashboard Light is technically 3 separate songs, so for the sake of this video, I'm going to say that there's 9, even though Paradise by the Dashboard Light is 1 song. So with that said, on side 1, we have Bad Outta Hell, You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth, or Hot Summer Night, Heaven Can Wait, and All Revved Up with No Place to Go. And on side 2, 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and on this vinyl, I don't know if the original has this, but it's actually separated into 3 like subtitles for the song or whatever. So the first one is Paradise, followed by Let Me Sleep on It, and concluded with Praying for the End of Time. And then the last song of the album on side 2 is For Crying Out Loud. Now, there's only 1 song on this album that I could live without. I'm not saying it's a bad song, but it's kind of one of those, and that's Heaven Can Wait. I mean, like when I play this, it's kind of like, okay, it goes along with the aesthetic, but it's like whatever, you know. But Bad Outta Hell is amazing. You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth is it's incredible. All Revved Up with No Place to Go is a really good song. I just wish that the whole song was like the last 45 seconds of it, where it picks up the tempo and just like kicks you in the face. Like, that's really juicy. Side 2 is like a perfect masterpiece. Like 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad. I love that song. It's very like wintry and like it's sad, but it's like empowering. Paradise by the Dashboard Light is just like, it is a trip. It is a drug-fueled trip, and it's so good. I wish that it was like its own album. It's 8 minutes and 28 seconds long, but it's 3 songs, and it just listen to it. I don't even have to explain it. It is so good. My favorite part, to be honest, is probably the 3rd section of it. I mean, the whole song's really good, but I just love that Praying for the End of Time part. So good. And then For Crying Out Loud is just a really good way to kind of close off the album. It's very sincere and, you know, very emotional. But I love all of these songs. You know, it's, even Heaven Can Wait. Like, I don't have to skip it, but if I had the opportunity to, I might, depending on my mood. It's a really good album. Like, it's so solid. You know, I always talk about consistency and stuff, and like the weird graph and all that crap. This is a concept album that is so good. It turned into a masterpiece. Like, there's no real rhyme or reason for the songs. It's just every song is it's just like a story. Like a little you just feel something, and you can see that, like, Meat, because I guess that's the guy's name. Like, I feel, dude, he must have got bullied in school. Like, yo, Meat, Jim Steinman, you know, he probably did most of the writing on these songs. This is a really, really good album. I'm gonna give it a 9.25 because Cupcake loves decimals. 9.25 out of 10 for songs. Buy it. Buy it. I don't even have to talk about the longevity of this album. Buy it. It's so good. I can't say enough good things about this album. I mean, this is a great album, and you hear multiple parts of this album on the radio. Bad Out of Hell, you hear on the radio. You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth, you hear on the radio. Paradise by the Dashboard Light, you hear on the radio. I mean, so those 3 songs would probably be what I would consider like the hits from this album, although I think all of these are really good. And the thing about the radio versions is they don't cut them. So that kind of stands for itself, I guess, that they don't cut these long songs. I mean, cripe. Bad Out of Hell is 9 minutes and 48 seconds long, folks. 9 minutes and 48 seconds. I mean, there's people that don't even last that long in bed. It's worth it, and it's so good. Get it. I don't know what I gave past records. I'd give this like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 because like Meatloaf, when people think Meatloaf, I'm guessing they think of this album because any of the other Meatloaf albums, it's just like, it's like eating leftover meatloaf after it's been sitting on the counter for a week and it's got mold on it. It's nasty. This is such a good album, and I saw this at Target. It was kind of an impulse buy, but I took a gamble on it because I thought it was going to be like the Kiss 45th anniversary swirls, which is like, oh, we've got some white and like 1 drop of black dye, just go, and then it's like perfect. It's like, no, they did this right. So, in conclusion, buy the album. It's really simple. The only thing that I wish that these guys with the exclusives would do, because I mean they're charging, I don't know what I paid for this. It was probably more than what it was worth, but include an MP3 digital download file, please. If you guys are going to justify charging so much money for these album prices, and this isn't at Target, and it isn't because I'm not going to cripe on Meatloaf because like it's not their fault. I don't understand if they're going to charge so much money for these vinyls. Include a digital download. Like that would be great. This album belongs in your collection. But with that said, you guys, I'm Rad Russ, and we will see you in the next review. Peace. That was wonderful.